Hey there, it's Gregson. Welcome back to Shifting Lanes. In today's video, we are going to talk about the Lexus RX and what you need to know about this luxury SUV juggernaut before you research it, compare it to others in its class, or buy it. And even if you're not in the market for one, stick around and watch all the way to the end because I'll go over all of the information I've gathered to tell you if you should check out an RX or if this is a model buyers should avoid. In this video, we'll be going over what to look for on the RX for both new and older models. This means we'll also be talking about the previous versions and not just the newer model. That way, you can get a sense of how this particular vehicle has fared historically. I'll show you guys some things like common issues, any major service bulletins, any major recalls, reliability ratings from trusted sources, and what's new for 2022. And if you're here because of this video, consider watching our other content as well. We make tons of videos at Shifting Lanes on new car reviews, other what to know videos, consumer advice recommendations, and automotive news. If you'd like to see any of those, check the description below for playlists of everything we do, or click the card above for a hand-picked video for you. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up at the end if you enjoyed it or found it informative. Before we get into it, I want to hear from you. Do you like the RX line? Are you in the market to buy one? Do you own one and love it? Do you own one and hate it? Leave a comment about anything you think about the RX as you watch. I'm curious to hear what you, the community, has to say about it. The RX has been, as I said, a luxury SUV juggernaut for decades now. If the Mercedes M-Class was the original modern luxury SUV, then the Lexus RX was the benchmark for both longevity and reliability. Or at least that's what I aim to find out during this video for you guys. Where Mercedes and BMW and eventually Audi went with a more performance-based approach with their luxury SUVs, Lexus went with a more understated and commuter-based thinking. And this makes total sense, of course. Toyota products, and by extension Lexus vehicles as well, are legendary for their commuter car prowess. So why make a performance SUV when the other companies do that anyway? They didn't, and the rest is RX history. The RX as a lineup continues to destroy the competition in sales numbers, with the RX being the second most bought luxury vehicle in the US in 2020, second only to the Tesla Model 3. It also outsold its next best competition in the SUV segment, the BMW X3, by a score of 101,000 units to 57,000 units. The RX is a big seller for Lexus here in the US, and they continue to sell hundreds of thousands of them year over year. But do those high sales numbers translate to a well-rounded, reliable product? Lots of cars that sell a ton every year, but some don't live up to this billing. With that in mind, let's start out by talking about some past issues with the older RXs, just in case you're not looking at a newer model. CarComplaints.com is a great resource when looking at complaints and overall issues. I frequent this site almost daily looking for information on cars to better inform all of you. There are a bunch of issues for the RX across all trim types on this site, but a few of the biggest are shift lag, or ASL, on the 2008 RX 350 with an average cost to fix of $5,000 with an average mileage of 89,000 miles. Next is engine failure, which is a pretty shocking one to see on a Lexus product, to be quite honest, for the 2009 RX 350 with an average cost to fix of a whopping 10 grand at an average mileage of 52,000 miles. Lastly is failed transmission on the 2013 RX 350 with an average cost to fix of $7,000 at an average mileage of 72,000 miles. Digging a bit deeper on the engine failure, it was one person saying that this happened to them and that their dealer said they needed a new engine for $10,000, and that was the quote. This complaint was logged in 2014 and seems to be a one-off issue. Even these three issues weren't that widespread, with only a few consumers noting them. Overall, older models look very solid. Next, let's talk about the technical service bulletins, or TSBs, for the RX. If you didn't know, a TSB is a communication from the manufacturer, like Lexus, that document recommended procedures for repairing vehicles, and they happen when there are several occurrences of an unanticipated problem. For example, if consumers keep reporting that their doors won't lock because a wire in the door is known to disconnect, and it's happening across many different shops or dealers, the manufacturer will look into it, and if there's a fix, issue a TSB so that if it happens again, the fix is easily understood and rectified. The manufacturer may also find fixes proactively and issue a TSB if the fix does not require a recall. For the RX, you may be surprised to know that there are hundreds of TSBs listed for almost all model years. However, it's important to remember that this isn't necessarily a standard for reliability. Almost all cars have tons of TSBs for each year they are produced, so take this into consideration when doing your research. I won't go into all of the TSBs they list, but if you're more DIY inclined, it's worth poking around in the TSBs should you find something wrong with your vehicle and want to fix it yourself. You may find a TSB TSB with the fix you need and could save yourself hundreds if not thousands in repair costs with the right know-how. You can find TSBs listed on sites like Car Complaints, among others, as TSBs need to be public knowledge by law. But I will mention that if you do find something wrong and you own a newer model, ask the dealer first, as you'll likely have a warranty that should cover you for almost anything. On that note, let's talk about any active recalls that the RX has. You can find these along with other complaints, manufacturer communications, and investigation information at the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA for short. The RX has many different recalls associated with many different model years, but here are a few to watch out for and the years that relate to them. For the 2006 RX 350, floor carpet covering and retention clips. If this occurs, the accelerator pedal may temporarily become stuck in a partially depressed position rather than return to the idle position. A stuck accelerator pedal may result in unintended and sustained vehicle speeds and may make it difficult to stop, increasing the risk of a vehicle crash. Next is brake actuator assembly may disable ESC and ABS. If this occurs, these systems could become inoperative, reducing the directional control assistance, increasing the risk of a crash. And finally, sensor failures may prevent airbag deployment. If the airbags fail to deploy in a crash, it can increase the risk of injury. Now, I always include recall information in these videos, and I almost always get a comment on them saying something to the effect of, "Man, this is recall stuff. Who cares? Just get it fixed at the dealer for free. No one needs to know this. What a waste of a video." And well, you guys sort of have a point. All recalls can be fixed for free at the dealer, so why even mention them? But you wouldn't believe the amount of people who don't even do recalls at all on their cars. According to a 2018 survey by Stericycle Expert Solutions, more than 1,100 Americans were surveyed and found that only 87% said they acted on recalls most of the time, which boils down to likely a far less percentage of people actually getting the work done at all. But it gets worse from there. The NHTSA itself did some of their own research and tracked recall information through vehicle identification numbers, or VINs. When they came to a conclusion, they found that a staggering 61% of recalled vehicles get repaired. That's it. That means there's a potential 39% of vehicles out there that still could have a recall on them. So yeah, I include this for that reason. Get your damn recalls done, people. They're free. Now, these are the only recalls out there on the RX, but these are the most interesting ones as they all involve crashing or personal injury. And like I said above, people don't do recalls. So if you do own any of these models, be sure to have these recalls checked and done by your local dealer. Next, let's talk about overall reliability. Consumer Reports ranks the RX as number 4 in the luxury midsize SUV segment with a solid overall score of 80 out of 100. The RX is bested only by the BMW X5, the Lexus RXL variant, and the Porsche Cayenne. The RX also claims a reliability score of 74 out of 100, which is second best on the similar cars list behind only the Lexus GX. It's more reliable than both the BMW X5 and the Porsche Cayenne. Lexus actually occupies the top 3 spots on Consumer Reports' reliable SUVs list here, with the GX, the RX, and the RXL. Car and Driver puts the current 2021 model way down the list in 20th place, but it is important to note that their low points for the RX were a lazy driving demeanor, relaxed acceleration, and a fussy infotainment touchpad, not really that big of a deal for a commuter car. So take that 20th place with a grain of salt. Car and Driver is, at its core, an enthusiasts magazine and media outlet, so they place driving capabilities and sportiness in this category well above daily driver prowess. Still, they do say that the RX has a silky smooth ride quality, which is no surprise. The RX as a daily driver will be very reliable considering all of these points. And depending on where you read and look, the RX may have a different ranking, so just keep that in mind. And now on to what's coming next, which is the 2022 RX. And what you all really need to know about it is, well, not much is changing from 2021 to 2022, and that's a very good thing. Lexus knows it has a winner in the RX line, which was fully redesigned in 2020, so making drastic changes to it right now in its life cycle doesn't make a lot of sense. For 2022, there are a few things worth noting. Lexus says they have simplified the exterior color palette of the RX, adding cloudburst gray and iridium to the lineup. Also added is Grecian water for F-Sport models, which sounds perfectly snooty. Additionally, fog lamps are now a standalone option for all trim levels. And that's it. That's literally it. A couple colors, the color palette, and fog lamps. That's all that's new. Like I said, they haven't made many changes because why would they? The RX is a guaranteed 100,000 units sold every year. So just make small tweaks and keep on selling them so they can give us enthusiasts amazing stuff like the LC500 and the upcoming IS500 as well. Lastly, with all this being said, do we recommend you go in to buy the new RX if you've made the decision to purchase? The answer to that question is a big time yes. The answer to the original question of does sales equal reliability seems to go hand in hand with the RX specifically. Lexus products on the whole are hugely reliable cars, and it's no wonder that you can still see so many older RXs on the road to this day when lots of others, from BMW and others, have sort of crapped out a little bit. Let me ask you one question to sum up RX reliability. How many first generation RXs do you see on the road compared to first gen Mercedes M-classes or first gen BMW X5s? I rest my case. In all seriousness, no matter what year of RX you may be looking to purchase, on paper it will no doubt be a fantastic one to buy, so go ahead and shop with confidence. I hope that this video does help you in making your buying decision a bit easier or has made you a better informed owner. If you want to follow us outside of YouTube, you can find us at Shifting Lanes on Facebook and Instagram, where we post about the cars we review, our personal cars, and industry news and adventures. Again, my name is Gregson. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, until next time.